there's any topics that you don't want to talk about at all. Any episodes specifically, yes, you just listened to one.
Yeah.
203 mean anything to you?
I know what that means, but it doesn't bother me.
203 is the number of your episode.
Oh.
What,
I thought you...
What do you...
I was thinking of a 302. I was like, that doesn't mean anything to me.
No. 203 is the number of your episode.
Okay, cool.
So if you have some cool little thing... I mean, it's not really something we talk about on the show. It's just something for you to have in the back of your mind, because it's gonna be associated with you now.
203?
Yeah.
Cool.
And,
I was like, 302.
And then any topics that are like, hey, off limits, don't touch it?
No.
Okay. Any hard outs? Anytime you gotta leave? Like, you wanna shoot for like a certain amount of time? Do you wanna...
Hour and a half, hour 15. I just gotta get back to South Lillian Park. Which is always a pain, but I just usually park on my stoop. But yesterday it was a whole episode.
Alright. So, I think that's you.
Can you hear me?
I hope so.
Cool. Alright.
Alright. Shoot. Hang with me a sec.
No problem. Oh, the bongos. Yes.
There you go.
Cool. Do we both play them?
We can do that, yeah.
Cool. I don't know.
So just get started, man. Just start hitting it. Hit it up.
More?
You done?
No, I don't.
Man, just go till you're done, man. Welcome, Eric Martin.
That's right. That's me.
Eric Martin. Do you have like? It's weird, man. I know I like talked to you about this show like years ago.
Yeah.
Like, talking about like wanting you to come on and
Yeah.
talk about like where you're at and where you're heading. And since then, you've done a lot of stuff.
I've done some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing some cool stuff. You know, I'm trying to get out there more.
That's great, man. That's great. I mean, Let me just back up for just 1 second and just say, like, welcome, man. I'm happy that you're here in my home. And this is the first one I've done.
Yeah.
Like single in my home, like since the quarantine started.
Right.
So, I mean, I did episode 200 here in the house, but like,
I got you. Yeah.
But it was 2 guests and it was like a celebration one.
Yeah.
So,
well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I'm super pumped that you're here. I'm super pumped that like you're in my space, man. I think this is great. I mean, I've always wanted you to come hang out at my space. So
yeah.
now you're here. That's great.
It's real nice, man.
Well, very, very welcome. Man, I wanna actually go with like, because you started off by going like, oh, like I haven't done a podcast in a long time.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, well, that's wrong. I just did Brady's, right?
Yeah. Just Brady.
I mean, Brady's been a guest on my show.
Yeah. Love Brady.
I've been a guest on Brady's show tons of times.
Yeah.
But this isn't a knock on Brady at all. But I want to say, like, this isn't like that.
I got you. Yeah.
This is nothing like that. Also,
I can turn pro wrestler mode off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling.
Not that I ever get into that.
Yeah. Maybe you go like, well, I have questions that I must answer this certain way, and I have to make sure I put myself over.
Yeah.
In here, I'm not so worried about you putting yourself over.
Yeah. I do that anyway.
I mean, I know you'll do it anyway.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Like, what's like the most frequent question? Like, what's the most frequent question on a wrestling podcast?
Well, it's always funny because like I'll get on there and like they'll be like, oh, so like what's your background? I'm like, Oh, well, and then I just go into that a bunch. So, like, basically, like, where I trained at and who I've trained with and things of that nature. Some, like, what's important advice that I've learned and things like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, who cares?
Right.
Who cares about all that stuff?
I'm already applying it. It's just, I don't need to talk about it.
You know what's funny, man? And I bring this up, and I've been bringing it up also, like, now that I'm back in the ring again.
Yeah.
And like, getting to go
Yeah, man,
to
you're in
training
great
and stuff.
shape. You're,
Thanks,
like,
man.
yeah.
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate that. But I'm saying, like now getting back into the ring and, like, talking to people about, like, advice and stuff, like what a vet advice would be.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, you're going to get trained by people. These people are going to show you the basics, but what you learn the most is going to be from when you're out on the road and you're hitting matches, you're getting on shows.
Yeah.
That's where you'll be you.
100%.
That, like, your pedigree means a lot. Like, who you were trained by means a lot. Like, you were trained by Mike Keener. Everyone has the respect in the world. Everyone has all the respect in the world for Mike Keener. I love Mike.
Yeah.
Like, with, like, from, like, my bone marrow.
Yeah.
I just have such respect and love for Mike. I have such love and respect for my trainers, John Dahmer and Eddie Valentine.
Yeah, love John.
They taught me what they could.
Yeah.
And I went out and learned.
Well,
and that would go next for whoever I would train if I were to ever train someone.
Yeah.
It would be like they'd learn what they learn while they're out there doing it.
That was, like, my big thing. Like, that's what Mike taught me. Like, he taught me the basics, taught me, and then he just taught me to keep learning. And that's all I do. I, like, love meeting people, even, like, in different aspects of, like, my life. Like, there's always I can always learn how to do something a little bit better. And, like, I just apply that. I apply that to, like, when I go to work. I apply that when I go to the gym. I apply that to basically everything. So, everything I do I do it for wrestling, but at the same time, I also do it for me. And I've really, like, accepted that I don't know everything, and there's always room to keep learning.
You know it's been a fun journey?
What?
Like, watching you be 20, 21. You
know
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, watching you do, like, kid stuff and F up. Like just watching you party and, like, I'm like, oh, that's a good kid. He'll grow up one day. Don't rush it. Don't rush it.
Yeah.
I was happy to talk to you and you to be, like, pretty open and honest with me about what was going on in your life. And, like, that meant a lot because, like, of course, like, why the hell would you want to tell some indie worker? I mean, quote unquote, I'm not your average indie worker.
No. Like, I mean, we've been around each other for a long time,
Right. So I was like, all right, well, he's pretty open and honest. Like, and that, I'll mix all that with the fact that, like, I knew from the start that you had your head screwed on right. So if, like, there's not everybody's got it all figured out the whole time.
Right.
Like, you got a few elements that are figured out, and then there's going to be some that you don't have figured out.
Yeah. There was a while where I was just up and down. I was, like, all over the place, but now I feel like I'm kind of going, like, in a better path than I was. But now, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling...
I said this to Kid Osborne when he was on the show.
I saw Kid.
Huh?
I just saw him like 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had him on one of, like, my first.
Maybe
like episode, like, within the first 10 episodes of the podcast.
Awesome.
And I said, what you can tell a lot by somebody in wrestling is when their friends aren't just wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
That you have a life outside of it.
Yeah.
That you, to me, that always. I don't know what anyone else what that says to anybody else, but to me, that always says, like, you've got loyalty, you've got passion, you got, you know what I mean, you got.
Yeah.
It's like a. To me, it's like a trade. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a admirable trait.
Yeah. And, like, I just might not understand something about their life. Like, if they don't understand wrestling. A few of my really good friends were trying wrestling, and it just didn't work out for them. But I'm still super close with them. I'm not gonna, like, let that deter me from being friends with them. I have friends in wrestling. I have friends outside of wrestling, and I'm just very respectful of, like, what everybody else is doing, just as long as they're respectful of, like, what I'm doing.
Right.
You know.
Right. Dude, but I mean,
Yeah.
I have to throw back a compliment that I kind of breezed over here.
Yeah.
When you complimented me and said I was looking great, dude, you're looking better than you've ever looked. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you said it the other day. You on Twitter, you were like, validate me, and I
Yeah.
was like, you look better than you've ever looked. And I put it in parentheses. I'm only
Yeah.
saying this because you asked. But
Yeah, no.
I sincerely mean it, and
Yeah.
I'm just not just blowing you up.
Well, it was going back to that, like, I don't know everything, like, what I'm doing. I've worked with a coach before. I worked with the same coach, but like we were talking about, like, my head wasn't, like, I had, like, different things going on, and, like, I was, doing whatever, but I've really, like, dialed in and, like, followed my plan, like, followed my training, and I think it's all coming together now. I don't know why. Like, I think quarantine's been really good to me.
Yeah.
Like, it allowed me to, like, all right, well, this is let me prioritize my time a little bit better.
And you got a girlfriend too. Did you get a girlfriend in quarantine, or did you have one previous?
So,
And then, like,
well, with
I
her,
know, like, there was, and I thought this was kind of cool too. Like, you had young romance,
yeah.
always-
when I first got into wrestling,
I
I
always was like, oh, he's a young romantic kid. He just wants to find, or he's just in his thing.
Last year, when we were in Nashville, I was talking to her. We were, hitting it off, and then whatever stuff happened, and we didn't talk for a long time. And then quarantine started, and then around like April, May, we started talking again. And
Was it the same girl?
Same girl.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I thought it was a new one.
Yeah, and
wow,
she was like,
cool.
We started talking, and like I was just like, yeah, like, all this stuff happened, and it kind of like made me open my eyes, like value like what's important, and like I'm important to doing what like I need to do and take care of myself. And she like saw that, and I mean, I was like, what are you, bored? Like, just hitting me up, whatever. And then she was like, no, like, I miss you, like all this stuff. And then we've been talking ever since, and I'm actually moving to South Philly with her. So
that's
yeah,
awesome. That's super fun.
Yeah,
that's great, man. Yeah. I mean, it's funny, man, and I have a cousin who I want him to come on the podcast.
Yeah,
he's a real cool dude, and like him and I have a very, very similar relationship to the relationship I have with you. So like when I see you, I think family. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
So I feel family vibe.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable
close.
talking. Yeah, I've always felt like, obviously, like we were talking before, like I've always felt super comfortable talking with you. You've always been like very open and like very friendly, and like I've been able to. I feel like we connect like on like a friend level instead of just, oh, he's a wrestling friend. You're my friend.
Right. That's good. Here's the thing. I needed to get that on the record.
Yeah.
Because here's what I know is going to happen. You're going to become a huge star. And then you're going to go, I'm not going to answer Corey's text anymore.
No,
I'm not going to call him back. I'm not going to do his show anymore.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, sir.
But it was super important, man, for me to want to have opening opportunities for you to like come on the wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
And, like chat with me and the boys. And
yeah, that was fun. Like I was on there a couple years ago. Yeah, like I think I've been on there twice. Right? Yeah. I was on there with one time. It was by myself. Was it by myself?
I think so.
Gacy was there.
Okay.
Joe was there.
Oh yeah, he'll be one of those ones that doesn't respond to my text messages very, very
freaking
soon.
Joe, man,
that will be a dude who doesn't respond. Very, very.
What
soon.
a jerk! No,
right.
I'm just kidding.
once somebody gets a little something,
once
somebody gets a little something, they don't know how to be friends with nobody anymore. But
people change, man.
Gay.
Oh no!
So you see, I was just saying his last name, but yeah, you were on with Gacy,
and then Chuck Payne,
and then one with Chuck.
Yeah. Ugh. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Again, sorry.
I say another thing about him. I say that the same thing about him. Like, one of these days, dude, you're gonna become a big star in this business.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna talk to me no more. Not gonna respond to my text messages.
Yeah, right.
I tried my best to be some sort of mentor for these kids.
I'm the only one that stuck around, man.
Oh yeah. Well, at least I got it on the record.
Yeah.
No, but like I always say on the show, I always say it's important to me that these kind of conversations happen on the record. So I started it in the beginning, and I've said this on the show a ton of times, but I mean it has to mean something to who I'm saying it to.
Yeah.
So this is why this sincerity has to be here for me to retell this. When I started doing this show, right before I started it, my mom had burnt a CD, and on the CD existed these voicemails from her mom and from her best friend Maria, who had passed away. And she said to me, "Do you know how, like, when someone dies, you kind of forget what their voice sounds like?" And I was like, I don't want that at all. I want to make sure my voice outlives me. I want to make sure my words outlive me, and the things I live on the record where I say something to you on the record, because this is going to outlive us both.
Yeah.
I mean, if the thing continues to record the whole episode.
Yeah.
Cross fingers. but dude, I have love for you, man. I really do. I really respect you. I'm glad that you're on this path, and I'm glad that I get to witness a little bit of it.
Thanks, man. I love you too.
I think you're still in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I think I'm just somebody who's going to wave at you on your way up.
No.
But I'm happy, man. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for any success that you have in the future. And I'm sorry you fell in a hole and you couldn't train with me today.
Oh, yeah. Literally, I fell in a hole. I stepped in a giant gopher hole and sprained my ankle. So, oof. I'm going to tweet about it. Mm-hmm. I literally that's my Twitter now, is I just, I take something very normal that happens, and I just make it bigger than it needs to be.
Oh, yeah, that's what everything is.
I have, like, the most boring Twitter of all time, I think. It's just so blunt. I'm like, I bought a microwave today. Here's a picture of me at the gym. That's it. Enjoy.
It's so weird, man.
I don't get Twitter.
I try to put a bunch of, like, really fun, cool jokes and stuff on Twitter and enjoyable stuff, but it's like nobody. It seems like it's like a tree falling in the woods. You know what I'm saying?
I like your Twitter. My thing is just like I've been under so much pressure to just like get like attention on Twitter, and I don't know why, but I'm like, man, I just want to get really good at this. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not.
But like you're kind of like the market for what would get a lot of attention on Twitter.
Yeah, I just stopped caring about what I post anymore. I'm like, well, somebody's gonna see it. They're either gonna like it or not. That's whatever.
Right. Dude, how do you feel about like cancel culture? Like, are you ever afraid of that? Like when it comes to,
I try to be careful with like what I say, because I don't want to offend anybody. Just in general, like I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. But at the same time, like I don't think ruining somebody's life is over mistakes is like the big most important thing. I think there are learning opportunities, like, hey man, like you need to correct your behavior, and if it keeps happening over and over again, then maybe it's like you're doing it to yourself.
I think more of the world needs to understand what unconditional love is.
Yeah,
there's conditions on everything.
Yeah,
it gets annoying.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm in like a weird space, because like I have a lot of friends that are just like they'll say something and it's like, oh man, that's like right on the line. Like, man, I hope nobody like calls you out on this. But then I'm also just like, well, at the same time, like, I don't really think they're being offensive too.
I think that the mixture between being offensive and being hateful is the problem. So it's like if you're being offensive just to be funny, versus like if you're saying something that you really mean and it's hateful,
right?
It's such a weird mixture, and it's such a strange time, and imagine like people. Remember Minority Report? Remember that movie Minority Report, where people would get arrested for crimes they never committed?
Yeah,
that's like what Twitter will be one of these days.
Dude,
you're gonna get canceled for a tweet that you didn't do yet.
My buddy said this to me. He wanted to be a wrestler. He got out of it. He's real big into like comedy. I think you should do it. He's a very entertaining individual.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening, do it. You know who I'm talking to.
I don't know anything about wrestling or comedy.
I got you.
He
said
about that.
If everybody gets made fun of, you just gotta wait your turn. Mm-hmm. He was quoting someone. I don't know who he was quoting directly, but I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'm gonna get made fun of for something eventually. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Might it hurt my feelings? Maybe. I'll get over it. It's probably like 10 seconds of my life, and I'll just move past it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had a weird situation where a friend of mine did a thing that like a lot of people got really mad at him for.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like super public, but a lot of people in our friend group at the time kind of wanted to like kind of break away from him. Distance
themselves.
And he said to me a thing that like I kind of teared up when he said it. He said, I'm just a human. I never promised you I was anything other than that. So we have to treat each other with some grace.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything's teachable.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the people make mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, like, if I was held accountable for everything that I ever said, like, I've said mean things to people just because I was angry at them. You know what I mean? And if that makes me, like, if you're going to hold it against me forever because I was angry about something or I just didn't understand something at the time.
Right.
I don't know. You know what I mean? If we did that to everybody.
Right. Like, Yeah, like, our lives weren't all on the record.
Yeah.
You know, at a certain point, we had to learn stuff the hard. Like, I think it's funny when I think about, like, a lot of the stuff that me and Rick used to film was really offensive, and a lot of the like jokes we would do and stuff was really offensive. I took it all down.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I don't want that, because it wasn't about being hateful. It was about getting a chuckle out of somebody.
Right.
Like, and that was kind of like the stuff we were taking in. Like, that was like, you know, that kind of Howard Stern-esque sort of
I totally get what you're saying. And what's it called? I'll say stuff to people. I'll be like, hey, man, be careful leaving that up. Like, I'm not going to do it publicly. I'm going to message them on the side and be like, hey, man, like, you know, this is how it could be misconstrued. But, like, if you want to keep it up, you know, that's all on you. You know what I mean? Like, I try to be careful because I just don't want to run into that wall. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I think comedy's supposed to be offensive to a degree. I don't know.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, the whole... what is it? The tragedy plus time equals comedy?
Yeah.
It's like a tragedy. Like, it's tragic that we're laughing. Like,
people
it's
say that, like...
The forbidden laughs are the hardest. Like, church laughter.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's like... It's a very thin, fine line.
Yeah. I'm just finally accepting Abraham Lincoln jokes, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know... It took me a while.
Yeah, I mean, but they're bashing you over the head with it.
Yeah, terrible.
So, with me saying the part about, you know, things being on the record, I would like to give you the opportunity to ask me or say anything to me that you'd like to. That'll be on the record.
I don't know. I don't. Do I want to ask you something? I mean, like, I just want to tell you, like, I value. Like, I've told. I just got done saying this. I very much value. I actually love what you're doing with your podcast because you give people a platform to not just talk about what they're doing, but to like be themselves and show their true side of them. And I really appreciate it. I feel like I don't get to do that enough, but
well, like, you know, 10 or 12 people are going to hear it.
Yeah, cool. Thank you guys for listening
all
to me.
10 or 12 of you.
Yeah.
I really thanks so much.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, like it's going to outlive us, so
yeah.
You know.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I used to be really wrapped up in what the stats were, and I checked them out all the time. Like, we all fall into that trap. We all fall into that rabbit hole real hard. Like, when you say, I'm trying to get my Twitter stuff up, I'm trying to get my Instagram stuff up.
Yeah.
Like, we are lab rats trained to
We're performing.
Yeah.
Every aspect of our lives, we're performing. No matter, like, I don't care if you work at a library. If you post on social media, you're performing.
Right.
You're performing to your quote-unquote audience. You know what I mean? I said quote-unquote and then did air quotes. So, a little redundant. But
bunny ears.
yeah.
It's also funny because we're talking about rabbit holes.
Yeah.
We're
just going down it now.
All the rabbit holes and bunny ears.
I don't want to step in another hole.
This is a real quick callback. So it all goes pretty cyclical.
Yeah. But, like, I follow Gary Vee a lot. I feel like some of his stuff's like super vague, but he has like good nuggets of like information in there. He's like, you should post what you want to post because like it doesn't matter. In my opinion, 20 likes is better than 0 likes. You know what I mean?
Well,
and not that we need to measure everything by likes, but it's just like he's saying if you're trying to like garner attention, you should post what you want to post because eventually your passion over steps that.
I like me too much to be wrapped up in the fact that 95% of the people I DM ignore it.
Yeah. Well, then you got 5% that don't.
Yeah, right. There'll be 5% of people who write me back.
Yeah.
And Gary Vee is in the 95% of people who won't write me back. Yeah. But I mean, who's that? I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. I mean, hey man.
Right.
The answer's always no unless you ask. You know what I mean? He might see it later and say something.
But at the same time, I have to always go back to this. It is not my value does not exist within the fact that I'm not valuable to them yet.
Yeah.
You know, my idea is like I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm never gonna stop.
You should do it because you like it.
That's the point of the drum. The point of me having the drum every time. And I say this every episode almost, was like it's a consistent thing. Like it's another part of the consistent. Like
you just like doing it.
I'm just doing that, and one of these days, someone's go, man, you hear that drum? That consistent drum beat?
Yeah.
The consistent drum beat is like I'm saying that's symbolic of me continuing to do this because, like, I found it. You know what I mean? I found the thing that I like. This is out of all the things that I do. This is my favorite.
Right. And, like, I do, like, a little weird thing with my Instagram. All my pictures are basically song quotes. I have, like, 2 or 3 since, like, 2016 that aren't. I have a playlist of songs, and I just go in order. Why? Because I just started doing it.
Right.
And now I'm not going to stop doing it.
Right.
I don't know. I just like doing it. It's just songs by, like, my favorite artist, and I just use their song lyrics. I'll just do a whole album in a row, and then
what was the last one you did?
I just did Drake song. It was it was like Drake and Popcan. It was Popcan's I think I forget where he's from, but Drake did a song with him, and I just took a line from from one of Drake's verses, and I just used it. I think it was he said all I need.
I'm more interested in what the lyrics are than the artists. I mean,
the lyric. It's just a picture of me in the ring, and it says "All I need." It's just simple.
Okay. You know, I did see that, and what I thought of when I saw it was Tupac.
Yeah.
The 96 Bonnie and Clyde. Remember that song? That's what I thought it was when I saw it. I thought you were doing that song. And
it just, I mean, it can be. I do different ones on like on like Twitter than I do Instagram. Like Twitter, I have a little bit more freedom, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just a weird little thing that I do, and like I talk about it to like people, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool," or they'll be like, "Why?" And I'll be like, "Well, here's why."
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's not hurting anybody.
No.
It's another way to create consistency in your life, you know? And I'm a huge believer in making your life happen for you.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer in creating, like being a deliberate creator in your existence instead of just like reacting to the world happening to you.
Yeah.
Because then you find yourself like just accepting that the world happens to you and you don't do anything about it.
I get like I like in that sense, like I create my own like happiness in a way. Like I used to never be somebody that did laundry. Like, I lived with my mom for so long. You know what I mean? Like 23 years.
No, that's fine, dude.
So,
dude, please do not be ashamed of that.
No.
Please do not be ashamed. Your journey's your journey.
Mm-hmm.
No, in no point in that would I ever try to minimize anything you've ever done.
Okay.
Because, like, it made you exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And you don't have to apologize for that.
Right.
Like, everybody's got their own different journey. I mean, like, you're
They fucking sent this thing. They came by again, dude.
Dude, I didn't move out of my mom's till I was like 28 or something.
Yeah. What's it called? I just I appreciate like everything like when living with my mom and living with my dad like has done for me because like I work with my dad. Like I'm going back to work with him just so I can help him because like that's just I don't make my living off wrestling. I have another job.
Of course, none of us do.
But
let me
go get my sunglasses real quick. Big shot.
Listen here, dude.
Listen here.
Big arms, cash,
boys.
big checks.
He what's it called? But like I get like something I create my own happiness. I do like laundry. I get super pumped about it. I knocked out 5 loads earlier today. I was just like boom, boom, boom. And now I'm like I don't have to fold laundry and like I'm super pumped about that.
Dude, do you got a reliable washer and dryer? Because I don't. Want to do my laundry? Will that make you happy?
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking about starting an OnlyFans where I just fold laundry and just talk. I don't know. I go on FaceTime with my friends while I'm folding laundry, and they're just like, "Are you folding laundry again?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, dude. I had like 6 shirts to wash. Like, let's get it. I'm wasting so much water and energy. My bill's crazy high. I stopped taking showers because of it."
Well, as long as you got clean clothes on, you don't need showers.
Overrate it.
Right.
No, but yeah, I don't know. That's just like I never used to do stuff for myself, and now I'm like. I get real excited. I like cooking, meal prepping, and
right. You got to have something that you're proud of. You said the exact thing before you started talking about it. You said I create my own happiness in this what is a menial thing to some or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you got to find the happiness.
I just enjoy doing it. Like I enjoy wrestling and I enjoy getting into that, but. Outside of that,
do you ever in your head like break down the word enjoy? I get like it's being spelled ENJOY, but like it's said enjoy.
Yeah,
I'm in joy when I do this thing.
Yeah,
like I'm inside of me is joyful when I'm doing that. Like I like to break that down a lot when I'm thinking about things that I actually enjoy, and I'm like, oh man, I'm really inside of joy. When
I never thought about it like that.
When this happens or when that happens or dude, like being validated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you said like validate me.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that's probably a tweet I've made. Like the same thing where it's like, well, please validate me.
Tell me I'm good. Right. Well, like it just was like a joke because like I talk to like my other wrestling buddies, some guys that I see like more like outside of wrestling too, like we all kind of mesh together, and I'm just like, man, everybody just gets on here and just like sometimes they just fish for compliments, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like they get on Twitter and they're like, I got my fishing pod or fishing roll, and like I can't even say the right word. Fishing pole rod thing.
Pole rod.
And I'm just like, man, like I could never just get on there and like be like, I'm really good, guys. I just like I'm going to be the opposite of that. I'm just going to be like, literally I'm going to just be like, validate me. Like, just tell me I'm good, please.
Yeah, it's like, I think we and I it's funny because I think when I first started doing the show, and for a long time, I kind of sort of like wanted to force certain topics to be brought up, and I would always go, what. And this is a question I would probably have to ask you, and I mean, don't answer it if you're not comfortable. But what damaged you to believe that you need to be validated?
I don't know. I don't know if there was really like
like anybody who's in entertainment,
Yeah.
really has had to have something happen in their life.
I don't know. I played sports like growing up. I played baseball. I played football. I played soccer once when I was 3. I just I was decent at football. Like, it wasn't like amazing. Baseball I was all right. Soccer, I was just there. Like same thing with baseball. Like my coach always said, "Oh, he's like the hardest, worker, so I'll pick him every year." I was always one of like the last kids picked for the team. I don't know. Like, I just always wanted to be like good at something, and I feel like wrestling is the thing I'm best at right now. And I haven't I've always sought improvement. Like, I wish I had this work ethic when I played like football in high school. Like, I wish I wanted to hit the gym as hard as I did, because I love football, but at the same time, like, wrestling wasn't like a second option. It's what I wanted to do since I was a kid.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe just not being really exceptionally good at anything.
Well, what
growing up?
What as like a so kind of like a master of none sort of thing, like a
I'm not really. I've never been like
many
the
trades.
best at anything. I don't know. Like when I go to work, I try to be the best person at my job, but
right, it's just kind of a I don't want to say like an imposter syndrome, like a but like a sort of like a you've been a spoke on the wheel.
Yeah.
And almost any other thing you've done. And at this point, you want to be the wheel.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind,
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. The big cheese.
The big cheese, the big wheel of cheese.
Cheese wheel. Yeah. No, I don't know.
Well, I know you said like, oh, I live with my mom, I live with my dad. Did they break up?
No, they're still together. They've been together since I was a kid. They I don't know. My dad's always been like a real hard worker. My mom worked at the same job. She just retired this January. She was there since she was 17.
Wow.
Yeah, she worked for the federal government. She, worked her way up from like a secretary all the way up to the highest rank she could have without a college degree. Wow. And I've always been like a hard worker. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I'm going to work hard, I should, reap the benefits sometimes, or whatever I can get out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. What do you think about when you think about like your loved ones that might have passed on? Like, what do you think about that? Like, where do you think they are? What do you think happens when you pass away?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really know. That's kind of, I think about them and I try to keep their memory with me, but I just don't. And I think about a lot of the all the positives and things that I've learned from them. I haven't had much of that in my life. My grandmother when I was real young, and my grandfather were in 2005 was like the first like real like death that I had, and I seen him get real bad. I never met my mom's dad. Right. I don't know. I think about him, but I haven't had much experience with like death in my life.
Can I ask you about somebody who might not be popular to talk about?
Sure.
Rebel. Did you have a relationship with Rebel?
Not really. I met him a handful of times at shows. I really interact with him. He didn't really like have an impact on me. Okay. Really. I thought he was loud. Yeah. But
that's a pretty easy assumption.
He had big hands. He had giant hands. But yeah, I don't really know. Like, I know people had positive experiences with him. I know people who had negative experiences with him. I know what he did.
Well, it's tough. It's tough, man, to go like, oh man, like, this guy changed my life and made my life better when he made certain decisions or helped me out on certain stuff. And it's like, how do I mourn a monster? You know what I mean? That was a tough little. It's tough little crossroads to be
right.
in,
Yeah, Yeah, like I don't really know. I don't have like a answer for that. Is that weird? I don't know.
No, it's fine. I mean, it was peripheral to you. It was very peripheral.
I wasn't really
right
involved with it. I don't know. It's kind of like a foreign like situation to me.
Yeah, it was definitely like outside of your like right in front of you. It was just off to the side enough that it wasn't.
Yeah, like I try to keep like I don't know, like I feel like in wrestling, like I'm kind of weird because I really keep to myself a lot. Like I'll BS and like mess around with the boys and like have a good time, but at the same time, it's just like I don't put so much of my stuff into it. You know what I mean? Like my personal life. Like I talk to you, I'll talk to like a handful of guys outside of it, but really,
don't put anybody over. Don't put anybody else over on this podcast. I talked to somebody else.
Yeah, I will not put anybody over.
Nah, screw that.
Just you. It's your show.
This is my show. Evolving with
That's
Corey
right.
Castle, not evolving with anybody else.
That's right. Don't veer credit.
Cut that part out. You got a good head on your shoulders, man, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to if I've made any kind of impact on your life, I'm glad that I was able to do that.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that I continue to do that.
Well, every time we interact, like I genuinely enjoy it. Like when I see you, I'm like, Corey's here, awesome. Like I'm in a good, I'm like, this is gonna be fun. Like I can talk to you like a person. Right. I don't have to be like, worry about like what I say sometimes.
Yeah, eggshells is a tough place to be. You don't want to have to walk on eggshells all the time.
Yeah,
it's weird, man. Like I said anybody who listens to the podcast will know. Like I normally say, like for a long time I was saying like, well, I'm done with wrestling. I'm done. I'm gonna just finish out my bookings and then I'm done. And then I had like what was supposed to be like my last few matches, and one of them was with you.
Yeah,
and then
DCW, right?
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be done with it. And I'm like, and then it goes back to the thing that like right to the whole thing you said about like feeling like I'm pretty good at a bunch of stuff, but like this is the thing that like I was like I'm sure of me being the best at this.
Yeah.
Like when I go like, well, I know like I know that I think that I'm a funny comedian. I know that I think I'm a pretty good podcaster. I know that I think I'm pretty good at acting, but I know that I'm really good at wrestling. You know what I mean? So it's like that's my muscle memory that keeps going back to like, all right, this is kind of what the main things I've always wanted to be, the main things that not only wanted to be but was.
Yeah.
Like so it's like just in my DNA.
Right.
Even though I don't have any other relatives who like wrestling at all.
Hey man, whatever, it's your thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I like I get like with wrestling sometimes like I'll get complacent or be like about it, but then I'll be like I'll learn something and then I'll like whoa, like I'll get like remotivated or like I'll watch something and I'm like, oh man, like my favorite thing is like I'll go and train with like Keener on a Wednesday at like H2O and like there's new students there and I get to like kind of share some of the things that I've learned from different trainers throughout the years, and I'm like, hey man, like if you apply this, you're already a step ahead of like where I was.
Right.
This is what I've heard from this person. I can't like I might not be able to convey it the best, but I can tell you like how I've perceived it. Like this is just all different flavors of ice cream, and I'm making my own like Neapolitan, like
well, like it's also like such accessibility changes.
Yeah,
like accessibility changes a lot of things. Like I tell Twitch all the time. I'm like, dude, what are you, 21, 22?
He's 22 now, I think.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're leaps and bounds better than I was when I was 22.
Yeah,
like same thing I said to Nelson, Killian's friend.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, you're 23 or something. I'm like, you're way better than I was when I was 23. I stunk when I was 23.
Yeah.
And I mean, it took me a long time, and maybe it's going to take you a long time to get as good as you think you need to be.
Yeah.
But like, as long as you don't give up on learning.
Right. I mean, it's just like with any aspect. Like, I wish I had this. I wish I had this desire to learn as much, like when I was in like high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when I went to college, like my senior year of high school, I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like I like learning.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, and then I was just like, all right. I was literally middle of the road student.
Looking
I
for
literally
the door.
was spot dead in the middle of my class, and I was just like, all right, cool. Like this is it. You know, I'm gonna go to college. I'll get a degree, and like now, like I want to go back and like pursue a exercise science degree.
Oh yeah,
but
cool.
I need to get myself in a position where that's I can do that.
Right.
But like I don't know, I just like want to learn it. Like I've been a certified trainer. Like I read and watch a lot of stuff about the fitness industry. I've worked in the fitness industry. I was a manager of a gym when I was 21.
Right.
I just recently worked at one of the top Anytime Fitnesses, and like my I learned how to sell differently, not like a punch,
right.
but like a gym membership.
I understand.
And like things like with that, like kind of like clicked with me in like different aspects of my life.
Do you know Bill Wiles?
Yeah.
You guys-
I knew him from the Monster Factory, and then he actually worked at one of the retros
Right. Yeah.
that my owners
I
owned.
think. You know what? I think we've had this conversation before.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure we've had
He
this conversation
he has some funny stories about those owners.
Yeah, he's got funny stories about everything.
Yeah,
He's
a wild man.
He's
a wild Bill. I like him. He's always been good to me. So
yeah, I like him a lot too.
yeah.
So the goals are beyond just wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to be happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's weird, and I don't want to. I don't want to like bury something.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I just have like a story. Something happened to me today.
Okay.
I was working on an HVAC job.
Oh, yeah.
With one of my friends, and he was like, "Oh, I got to remember, like, it'll whatever it was. It was like the unit had to go in a certain way, and we had to do another thing to take it out." And he's like, "Oh man, I hope that I remember when it's time to like replace this unit in 30 years that we did it this way." And I'm like, "You're gonna still be doing HVAC in 30 years?" Like that was in the back of my head, and
No.
I was like,
Like,
dude, I don't know. Like,
right. I want to, no pun intended, I want to evolve, you know, like, I want to grow. I mean, like, if he's happy doing HVAC, you know, I mean, cool. But, you know, there should be, I think, like, so my dad we do concrete and waterproofing.
Right.
And he's been doing it since he's been doing concrete work since he was a teenager.
Right.
He's 51 now. He started when he was 16. He started his own company, waterproofing company. We do subcontracting work.
Do you know this seems like a word problem, right? You're like, when he was 15.
Yeah, I give a lot of, I give maybe too much context and stuff.
No,
and
go ahead, I'm sorry. So one train's going southbound at 61 miles per hour.
How far do you go? Yeah.
Go ahead.
He, what's it called? Then he started his own business, and he kind of got out of the work.
Right.
But now, like, some stuff happened, and now it's just kind of him and a crew, and now he's back to doing the work, and I'm like, Dad, you gotta want to, like, you're getting, you should want to stop soon. Like, that's why, like, part of me wants to come back. I want to be able to, like, run and take a lot of that pressure off him. But he just has this desire to do it because he doesn't trust anybody else to do it right.
Well, it's a mix. I think sometimes it'll be a mixture of that and a mixture of I want to prove to myself that I can still do this.
Yeah,
I can still do this. That might be me. That might be maybe I'm trying to prove myself that I can still have good matches, or I want to prove to myself that I can still work a crowd. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but like whatever gets you in there and doing it, it's like I do that with the gym. a lot of times. Like people like want to trash on like fad diets or like different like gimmicky training things, and I'm just like, hey man, like if that's getting them into the gym and like wanting to pursue a healthy lifestyle, I'm all for it. Like you get like they'll see that it doesn't work, and like maybe they'll be like, all right, I want to try something new.
Right.
Like and like they go and learn about it. They meet with a trainer at the gym. They
now I have a passion for a structure.
Right, and it's just like when I started the gym, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just 18 years old going to I was running on the treadmill and then lifting weights for 10 minutes.
Dude, it's really funny because you were talking about how much you wish that like you had the drive to learn.
Yeah.
When you were younger, like you're still super young. Like
yeah.
I mean, I always say very similarly. I always say I wish I was like this. Like I wish I was this version of me in 2002. Like this level of talent in that scene.
Yeah.
And I go, I wish that somebody would have like pulled me aside and tell me how important weight training was. When I was in my early 20s, because like I didn't realize like, well, when you're 30, you lose your free tea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, everything's your metabolism goes down. And it's like, all right, I wish that I would have known all this stuff when I was younger. So I'm right on that same exact boat with you.
And
like, wanting like. But not feeling a regret for it.
No.
It's also I'm so grateful for any of that because then I'm like, wow, then I know I'm.
Your experience led you to here now.
Yeah, I'm on the path. I'm on the right path at this point. So, what would you do if you stepped out of the door, if you walked out the door, and walking up was a man who came up to you and told you that he was you from like 10 years into the future? What if you could say 3 things to him? What would those things say?
I'd be like, okay, what's up? No, well, greetings aside, I don't know. I'd be like, what am I doing here now? Like, like what? We gotta sit down and figure this out.
I think I wrap myself into this. I always think like I wouldn't want to know too much.
No.
I wouldn't want to talk too much. I wouldn't want to alter anything. You know, I wouldn't want to. But
learn time travel.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And then, but I would want to say, show me your time machine.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, how'd you get here?
Yeah.
Right.
Sweet, man. You want to hang out? No, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I've always been somebody, like, I could read the end of a book, like how a book ends. I care more about the journey, the process in which led to that moment. Like the details, like, you know, what happened in this part of the book that led them here. Like, oh man, like how are they going to get there? Like, how is this going to happen? I'm more concerned with that. Like, oh, it's not the process. It's not the end point. It's the journey. Like
right.
all that stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, like I wouldn't want to know too many details. Like I want to go through it. Like I want to like live it. I have to live it. I have to experience it. Like, and I feel like meeting myself from 10 years from now would just like, I don't know, would try to make me act different or change me, like what I'm doing. Like, I mean, if he'd be like, you know, maybe do this. I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to us, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts at night that people would be surprised to hear that you think about?
Do I have
like
thoughts at night? I don't know. No, I don't think so. No. I don't really. I'm usually like watching a TV show or something with my girlfriend, and like I fall. I don't know.
Do
like,
you do a lot of reading?
I don't do a lot of reading.
No.
I want to. I have a lot of things I want to do, but yeah. Like I guess I should get more into reading. I actually
like
really.
I like the idea that you were talking about reading a book backwards.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think that's
Yeah, like
exciting.
I would read the end of it and then
read the end of it and then be like,
Yeah.
well, then you'll want to have to read the whole thing to
Yeah.
understand the end even better.
Yeah. And well, I used to do that in school.
Yeah.
So I could like go into my English class and be like, well, this is how it ended. And then like we'd talk about the book and I'd be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is how
together.
cool. No. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think a lot like I'm not like a super like fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy, but at the same time, like I don't really think about things until like the day before. I'll be like, all right, cool. Like this is my plan for tomorrow. Sometimes I put too much on my plate. Sometimes like I find myself with a lot of free time, but I'll just be like, all right, I have to do this, and then I'm like, all right, I have to do this other thing. Those are my two priorities. I think about like my priorities for the next day, like what I have to get done, like what has to be done so I can take the next step towards whatever I'm trying to achieve. Like I know Thursday I have to go get a spray tan. So
I say this all the time, and I always talk about name 5 people in your life, the top 5 people that you hang out with the most. How many of those people want anything from you ever? Right? I'm not saying say any of this stuff. Like I'm not saying you have to name any of these people, but I always talk about that when it comes to like kind of casting the movie that is your life. Are you pretty happy with the cast that you have?
Yeah, I don't really think they want anything out of me. I really truly believe like everything that like I do is like out of just like my heart. Like I do it for them because I feel it's the right thing to do. They deserve it because they've been here for me. They like my support system is off the charts. Like my top 5 like on MySpace, I would die for them, dude. Yeah.
MySpace top 5.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
No, top 8.
They're people that have genuinely looked out for me times when I needed it and like gave me talks when I needed it and like they did what they had to do for me and I continue to do what I have to do for them. Like if they called me in the middle of the night, any of them, I would be there.
Is there anybody who's living the life that you think you could live their life better than them? Not better than them, but be like doing exactly what they're doing.
Nah, because I don't think anybody could do what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think I can do anybody's life better than they could.
Like in an inspirational way.
Yeah.
You think like, who's got that spot? It doesn't necessarily have to be a wrestling thing.
No.
But I'm saying like who's doing something where you could go, I could see me doing something very similar to that, and making it my own. Do you have any like people who are like your main inspirations?
Right now, somebody that I admire like a ton is Alex Shelley, which is I've interacted with him briefly like at like Ring of Honor shows, and man, I like what he's doing is so cool. Like he's independent. He's working wherever he wants. He's enjoying what he's doing. He just wants to put out the best possible art that he can, and I'm just like in that role right now. Like I want to look my best. I want to have really good professional wrestling matches. I want to be around people that I genuinely enjoy being around, and I just want to have fun and have it like live an interesting life. I like to travel. I like to I like to work out, and I like to wrestle. Like that's what I want to do. And I feel like I'm going to Georgia this weekend and Tennessee. I go there. I've been to Tennessee a bunch recently, but I'm like, oh, cool, man. Like I get to go and hang out with some people that I'm close with, and
it's great.
Yeah,
that's great. I did a week in Tennessee.
Yeah,
like every single day of the week, there was different shows.
Yeah,
all over the place. Yeah,
I remember we were in Tennessee last year together. That was cool. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Like, dude, Nashville's sick.
I mean, I didn't do much exploring at all when we were there. I think I was in a weird spot probably last year in my in my head about certain things that it was like trying to not let my worth get wrapped up in the fact that people weren't valuing me.
Yeah.
you know, and me pitching ideas and getting a producer credit, but them not going with any of the ideas I pitched, and then when I'd pitch ideas, someone else would get the credit for it.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It was just not my favorite, and and it was like I was an accessory to somebody else. All the time.
That's frustrating.
I was just
That's super frustrating.
I was like a glorified manager. I'm like, but okay, this is a company that talks about comedy, podcasting, pro wrestling. I'm all those things, and I'm not spotlighted single. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not getting a single spotlight. I have to share a spotlight with people who don't want the common goal of the company like I do.
Dude, that's super frustrating. And I like that point. Like, if that's bothering you, you got to do what makes you happy. And sometimes like you were talking about this a bit with with Gangone. Mm-hmm. It's just like once you are like you were talking about forgiveness with him, mm-hmm. and once you're like in those like moments like of repeat behavior, mm-hmm. you just have to like do what's best for you.
Right.
And like if like I have relationships with people that like I don't hate them, I don't want to see them fail, but at the same time like I'm not going to continually put myself through the stress of trying to be your friend or, you know, take care of you when it's not benefiting either one of us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like jumping into a pool with boots on.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to take these boots off if I'm jumping into the pool.
Yeah, and like, you know, there's a confidence thing. Like, you got to feel wanted sometimes too, you know? Like, mm-hmm. and there's like a couple places I wrestle now where I feel extremely wanted, and like, I want those companies mm-hmm. to succeed. Yes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, one of those places is ECWA. I'm back there now, and mm-hmm. like, you know, I love what they're doing, and I feel like they're giving me opportunities to improve myself.
Yeah.
And they're putting me in some good positions.
Right.
H2O, mm-hmm. Matt Tremont's place is another spot. Like, I'm doing a lot of their student shows, and I'm working with a lot of their younger guys, mm-hmm. and it's making me have like a purpose. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you have like that has to be, you know, you have to be selfish in that moment. Like you're giving your all for something, and you're getting, you know, the short end of the stick, and I don't know, it doesn't really feel fair.
It's like I feel so torn in a lot of this.
Yeah,
because for a long time I was falling into I'm kind of being a little stupid vulnerable right now, but I feel like for a long time I was feeling like I love wrestling with all my heart for so long, and wrestling didn't take the opportunity to love me back. Mm-hmm. And I was putting myself in like almost a victim to that. Yeah. Instead of going like, by saying wrestling didn't love me back, it was just certain individuals didn't recognize what I already knew.
Yeah.
And it's not my worth that should be wrapped up in that. Mm-mm. And every thing I've ever learned in my life, a good amount of it ties back to pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So if it's teaching me, it's not loving me back.
Right.
It's just not financially loving me back.
Yeah. It's not nurturing you in the way.
Right.
Like, I learn in wrestling, like there's been points like Keener will tell you, like, where I literally sat in the ring and cried because I couldn't do something. Mm-hmm. Because, like, I just kept trying and trying and trying and failing and failing and failing. Eventually, I got it, but, like, I was so, like, just pissed off. I'm like, Mm-hmm. Like, I was also, like, 19, 20 years old, mm-hmm. but a little immature. But at the same time, like, I still get that. Like, when I would go, I was training with Jonathan Gresham, and I would learn something new every single time. And, like, I wouldn't get it on the first try. I had to keep trying it. Like, hey, he's like, we're going to make it cleaner. We're going to make it look better. Mm-hmm. And now it's just like, I like literally just want to learn as much as possible. Like, I have down moments like where I have like a match where I'm just, blah, wasn't super happy with that. But then like, I'll go and have a match, you know, the next weekend, and I'm like, oh man, like I killed it. Like now I'm like,
you gotta
peaks and valleys.
Yeah, I've been there. Totally been there.
Yeah.
Like you go like, oh well, this match is gonna make up for last match when I didn't
those redemption matches.
Yeah,
But
all the time.
At the same time, like, you know, I don't like let myself get defined by my worst match or that. I'm like, all right, I can just learn.
Is DCW gonna ever come back?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
But did you hear about like the other stuff that went on? Like why, like whatever stuff was going on?
No, I don't really.
Oh, one of the owners got arrested with like a bunch of child porn stuff.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with maybe not. Maybe it's not coming back. I really don't know. I
feel real bad. But because this goes, and this is something I kind of had to give myself grace on.
Yeah.
Beating myself up. If I had known this was going on, that'd be one thing. But I didn't know.
Yeah, I know. I literally didn't know until right now.
So it was like, this was the person that paid me at shows. This is the person that paid me at shows. And I go, well, like, I was like, I always go like that place, like fostered my creativity more than any other, like, and believed in me and saw the value in me more than any other place had. But then, like, I'd accept paydays from somebody who might have received paydays
for something else
off the abuse of others, which I couldn't really be okay with.
Yeah, I'm not really.
Right.
Yeah, that's not good. That doesn't make me feel good.
No.
But like, there's no but. Like, I'm not making an excuse for that. I just, now I just like have that in my head, and like I make decisions going forward based on what I know. Like, there's people in wrestling that have done like really bad stuff that I've been like, I don't want to be associated with this thing because of that person, and it's just, that's a personal choice on me. Is what it is. So like that's tough. I had no idea about that. So yeah,
it's rough. It's rough, and
yeah. Well, I don't think that I don't know if that's gonna be a thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's light it up here for a second. Tell me about the last thing that made you cry till you couldn't breathe. Like, not cry, I'm sorry. Made you laugh so hard that you cried and you almost couldn't breathe from laughing.
So my girlfriend just celebrated her birthday. And you familiar with Cardi B?
Uh-huh.
And Meg Thee Stallion, they have a song called WAP.
Uh-huh.
And there's a whole TikTok dance for it.
Okay.
Yeah, she tried to do it in these new jeans.
Uh-huh.
And just ripped. And I saw it all happen at her birthday in front of a bunch of people. So I'm being real, like, just straightforward about what happened, but it was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What does WAP mean?
Is there
there's no censor.
Wet ass pussy.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought it meant.
Yeah. Sorry to the kids listening at home.
Well, it's not you who wrote the song.
Yeah. There's a censored version, Wet and Gushy. That's what they say in the song. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a whole thing.
I don't know the song. I don't know. You're
not missing much.
I don't really know the dances. I don't know the TikTok. I don't know much about it. Like,
she was just messing around.
Back in the day, honestly, like the WAP, WAPs was what we would call them. That was a code word that Rick and I used to use at the Wawa in Deptford, like where the CZW school was.
Yeah.
Because we said the people that were in that Wawa were always weird-ass people.
That's way better than
yeah. Weird ass people.
these weird ass people.
These Jersey Waps.
Oh shit. And now I can't like not hear that.
Now when you hear that song or you hear it,
I think you made the song better. I wouldn't say you ruined it.
There's a Jersey, Deptford, New Jersey, Wawa.
There's some waps.
I don't know the song. I don't know the lyrics, but that
look it up.
That feels like what it should be.
Yeah, better than that. But yeah, she ripped her pants at her birthday in front of her whole friends and family. There was alcohol involved.
So, how old are you right now?
25. Just turned 25 in September.
You're like 11 years younger than me, I think.
Okay.
And you are on the road to I think being a really good man.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to be a part of that.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being a part of it.
I know. I already said it on the show,
Yeah.
and I'm beating it to death. But like, when you look back on today, I said this audio is outliving us. Not just you looking back. Well, let's say 10 years from now, somebody else goes, look, Eric Martin, that huge star, Eric Martin. I want to go back and listen to a podcast that he did back in 2020 during quarantine times, during pandemic, during COVID, the timestamp of right now. Mm-hmm. What's the message that you're saying? Like, what, what's the message to that? Maybe that person that loves you. Maybe to that person who wants to know more about who you actually are and the lessons that got you to this 25-year-old version of Eric Martin.
Well, other than just be kind to people, I would say have a thirst for knowledge. Like, I know I already talked about it, but man, like me sitting down and realizing, like, there's a lot for me to learn out there. I don't know everything about everything, and like, not that I want to know everything about everything, but if there's something I want to learn or do, there's nobody stopping me other than myself. Like, if I want to learn something, I might not be the best at it, but I can learn an aspect of something and, just try. And like, I want to, I feel like learning is like kind of like a gateway to understanding just different people, different, like, okay, maybe this person has had life experience that makes them think this way. I don't necessarily think that makes somebody like a terrible person, but at the same time, like, they've had life experiences, and I feel like we should always just try to take into account our experience and what we've been through, and try to use that to not put it on other people, but like understand what somebody else might be going through, or because you'd want them to do the same to you if you were in a position. So I guess just like learn and understand not just things in your life, but other people and how they are. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That was kind of all over the place.
I mean, it tracks though. Like, it makes total sense. It's really like do yourself a favor by not prejudging or even judging at all.
Yeah.
Like, you learn something from something you didn't know. Yeah. And that's when you make a decision, but it's not like you like made that decision based off of a prejudgment that you made. Right. It's really like kind of like, if you anticipate being let down, you're gonna probably be let down. If you go into it thinking like, this is gonna suck, it's probably gonna suck. Yeah. So kind of be a little easier on your judgments.
Yeah, and like, I'm an optimistic person. I like to think that most things are generally going to go well, especially like if I do what I feel is right for myself and the other people around me. Mm-hmm. I feel like, most situations aren't going to end terribly for me, but you you get burned sometimes, but, you know, those are lessons. Those are like, all right, you know, whatever. Like, I don't know, like, just going back to the whole being kind. Like, even if somebody isn't kind to you, and going back to, like, oh, man, maybe their experience is bad. I don't know. They don't let a brief interaction with somebody, like, ruin your day. You know, like, don't let 10 seconds ruin, 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say a thing that I say all the time. That maybe people who listen to the podcast, I've heard this a million times. If you don't want to hear it again, hit the fast forward 15 seconds button. But and it goes into, you said the thing about ruining your day.
Yeah.
The thing that ruined your day was just a second of your day.
Yeah.
Your whole day is 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that ruins your day. Don't let things ruin stuff.
Right.
Like, that's just like a friend of mine was like, oh, that thing ruined my life. I'm like, your life is still happening. It's not over yet. Your life isn't ruined until you have no life anymore.
Yeah.
Like, from birth, let's say, relative, right? So, birth to death. Let's say, altogether, let's ideally say it's 100 years.
Yeah. Life expectancy is way up.
Right. So, let's say it's 100 years.
Yeah.
Your childhood was this much of it.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that you hold on to that's from your childhood, that's all, you're holding on to all that weight throughout the rest of this life expectancy. Like, you're wasting so many right nows on right nows that already happened a long time ago that you'll never get back.
Yeah.
Make peace with that. Make peace with that, because even if you're in a bad relationship, if you have a breakup that's bad, if you're in a relationship for 2 years, that's 2 years out of 100 years.
2%.
Yeah,
it's crazy when you put.
But when you're in it, it's so major,
intense. Yeah,
it's so major. But if you zoom out of it and you go, wow, that's I'm lucky that I learned a valuable lesson now. And I didn't spend 60 years in this.
And like that's when we were talking about before, I had a real bad breakup with a girl I was with in high school. Mm-hmm. Now I look at it, I'm like, like, we're different people, and it felt like the end of the world, but it's not. Mm-hmm. And you just use that for future experience. Like, when me and my current girlfriend had our falling out last year, I was just like, oh man, I messed up, and I was really hard on myself about it. But then I also maybe it was for the best, and there's always the future. I've stayed very optimistic and positive, and did I get angry sometimes about it, the situation with myself, and then with outside forces? Yeah, I did, but I couldn't let that own me or dictate my future. Mm-hmm. And then luckily things worked out, but at the same time, if they didn't, I think I learned a valuable lesson about who I needed to be, and I'm still being that person now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and now it's just I happen to be with her as well.
Well, it's like your expectations change as you have experiences.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure, if your expectations are so high and you get let down, that you don't tie your self-worth into being let down by your expectations. Ideally.
Yeah.
I mean,
that happens.
That's so much easier said than done.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. We let ourselves do things like that, but we can. I don't know. We could always, we learn from it. It literally, we learn from ourselves a lot of times. Man, maybe I shouldn't have done something like that, or maybe maybe I shouldn't expect these things from situations or people.
Right.
You have to, and you learn.
You know that no one can read your mind.
Yeah.
They don't know what you want until you tell them what you
want.
Want.
And then I always do that. I always go after the fact, hey, look, I know I didn't say anything. I should have. Mm-hmm. This is how it made me feel.
Right.
And I feel like conversation, I like to talk about things, and I like getting it out there. So I don't want to harbor anything. Like I don't want anything to sit or like not get it off. Like my perfect example is like I get like a little angry when I drive. Like if somebody cuts me off or somebody's just not using their gas pedal, I'll be like, come on. Like I'll let it out and I'll be like, all right, cool. I let it out. Like,
Have I ever told you my experience about road rage?
No.
My thoughts on road rage?
No.
Oh man, I might just change your life right now.
Okay. I'm open to it. I like
I,
learning.
I hope it helps. I hope
Yeah.
this helps. When I'm driving and somebody does something that upsets me, I usually go, "I'm also human, and I've made mistakes."
Yeah.
So a lot of us will dehumanize a box.
Yeah.
Will dehumanize a box that's moving at a certain speed.
Right.
But think about that. That's a person whose day might not be the best.
Yeah.
Their life might not be the best.
Yeah.
Their job situation, their money situation might not be going as well as it is for you, or maybe it's going better than yours. And you know what I mean? Like if you let 2 seconds ruin an entire day,
right?
Like your reaction, you have the potential right then to mess up their day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you mess up their day, then you know, like
you're just you just breed negativity.
It's like a butterfly effect.
Yeah,
you know?
and like I'm just sometimes I'm just like and then I'll be like, okay, I'm okay. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't like because like I put it in my head like, what if it's like you yell and scream about something, right? And then you get up next to them, and then it's like someone like it's like my dad's age or like my mom's age. I'm like, man, if somebody like yelled at my mom or dad like that, I would be furious. And like sometimes I put that into my head. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I'll be like, what are you doing? Like something like that, and I'm just like, I'll just stop and calm down. Like, and I don't let it ruin my day. Like like I don't show up to the bill. Like I don't show up to the building. I'm like, man, I'm pissed. I throw my gear bag and I go, some dude cut me off 35 minutes ago. Like, I
have to say, man, I was at a show, and a guy walked into the locker room and he threw his bag on the ground. And he was pissed about something, and he as soon as he walked away, I was like, I would never book that guy. If I was running a show, I would never book that guy. Like,
hothead.
I hope it gets back to him that's unprofessional behavior. Like, you like you never know who's in a locker room in any locker room.
Yeah.
Like, who's to say that I'm not a producer at a place?
Yeah.
That would have the ability to bring you in or not bring you in, but then you act like that. I'm for sure not interested in you at all.
Well, it's also like, man, if things don't go right in your match, how are you going to act? Or things don't go right with something backstage, like or a promo or a video.
Right.
How are you going to react, dude? Like, are you going to lose your mind? Are you going to Christian Bale me? Like, please don't. Just be good to people. Like, if you're having a bad day, don't put a smile on, but just kind of be like, all right, like, don't be unprofessional and be mean to other people.
Like, I also like to pull back to, out of all the things that I've survived, out of all the things all the struggles I've had, if this 2-second interaction is worse than any of that, like,
fair.
Then, you know what I mean? I just need to remove myself.
Absolutely.
Because I've been through too much.
Yeah.
I've been through too much.
Yeah.
To waste any of my right nows on because this now is the most important.
Yeah.
And if I can instead of being like some statistic or some spectacle that somebody witnessed, oh, I saw these two guys fight. Instead, I could see, be some sort of role model to somebody else who, could see me and be like, wow, that, it's amazing I saw that person live through that and be fine.
If you're going to impact somebody, it might as well be positively, right?
Hopefully. I mean,
I mean, that's ideally what we try to do.
All I want to do with my life all the time.
Yeah.
But I got just a couple more things, and then
no, we're good.
A couple more things, and then I'll send you off with a hot dog and a handshake, and
it's the biggest payday I've ever received.
Take it home. I have to say, effort is a humongous thing, right? So, to me, effort is currency.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you've spent your currency getting here and hanging with me, and the fact, and then I say it to anybody who's listening as well, it's like the fact that I'm happy to be that piece, that resource to you, that you go ahead and hit play, because this isn't like on your radio. You can't turn on your radio and have this play. You have to go out of your way to find this. So if we're in your headphones today, if we're on your YouTube today, man, so grateful, so grateful, so grateful.
Thanks for listening to me ramble sometimes.
Well, I have to say, I want to make sure you know not only how grateful I am, but for the fact that I'm happy to be a resource for you in any way. If you ever need anything, if you ever just need some judgment-free conversation, you just need to get some shit off your chest, you feel like no one's going to understand you, don't hesitate to call me. Don't hesitate to come here. You got to text me, whatever. I'm always here for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I don't do it enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, we're living life. Everybody's living their life. I mean, kind of out of sight, out of mind, especially the fact that, like, wrestling's been shut down.
Yeah.
You know, the world's been shut down.
Yeah, I still see your content and things like that, and, like, I don't know. I could reach out more.
Okay. Well, I mean...
Well, I mean, we've talked over quarantine a little bit, but no, definitely more. Mm-hmm. Now I know, now that I'm going to be, like, living closer, you might not stop hearing from me.
You're gonna be a South Philly whap.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Port Richmond, and then moved to Jersey, and then I moved to Maryland. I lived there for 9 months.
Okay.
During all this.
The dojo? Is it?
Yeah. Ring of Honor dojo's down there.
Yeah.
But with the world being shut down, I just figured I'd move closer
back
to my family.
Yeah. So I want to give you the opportunity. Hypothetically, I've gifted you this podcast. This has been your pilot episode of Evolving with Eric Martin in a very Jerry Springer's final thought type of way. How would you wrap it all up in a nice pretty bow in order to squeeze some lessons out of it for helping people evolve to a better version of themselves tomorrow?
So, like, encompass everything that we've talked about?
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. I keep going back to learning, and knowledge is power. We keep talking about it, and I think that's been the major theme of today, whether it's wrestling or, life or school for you kids out there. Sorry I cursed earlier. I don't know. Whether it's wearing jeans that are going to support you while you're dancing, looking for potholes in the ground, just keep learning and, enjoy the process of what you're doing as opposed to this expectation of an end goal. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's it.
Do you have anything that you want to... I mean, I don't ever say this. Do you have anything that you want to say? Do you have anything you want to, like, plug, put over? You want to say anything or ask anything else to me before we wrap this up?
I don't know. What did you take away from talking with me?
Humility. A lot of humility. I really appreciate that. I think that it's a great thing to have in somebody, and I hope it remains. And I don't see it not remaining.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been somebody who's always been like, I've never been like the top dog. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like keeping that mindset is always gonna just keep me evolving. Keep me learning.
Well, this is the place for it.
Yeah.
This is the place for it.
But
it has to I have that as like the intro for the show, like on the Spreaker app.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like
yeah.
not on like iTunes or Spotify, but if you go on the actual Spreaker app and you listen to episodes, the intro is always it has to start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now? Which is like from Guerrilla Radio.
That's cool.
The Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really what better place than here? What better time than now?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this has been great.
I've like realized a lot about like myself, and I took away some stuff that I'm gonna utilize like in my different way, like not in like a change my mindset, but I'm gonna utilize going forward. That little two seconds shouldn't ruin my whole day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you got 24 hours in a whole day.
2 seconds.
That's how many seconds are in an hour?
Yeah, and like words are only we only give them value. We can just if we don't like it, we can just not ignore it, but just be like, not let it affect me.
Unsubscribe.
Mute button.
Fast forward 15 seconds.
Yeah, there we go. Cool.
But thanks everybody for checking out the show. Thanks for if this is your first time listening to Evolving with Corey Castle, check out the other 202 episodes, and let me know how you've enjoyed them, and leave a comment and rate, subscribe, and like. Absolutely make sure you subscribe. All that other stuff that people say during the end of podcasts, when I try to say it, I feel insincere, and that's a me thing. That's a me problem, for sure. Love yourself. Be safe. Have fun. Tell everybody that you love them, and enjoy the shit out of your life. I'm Corey Castle. Keep evolving.